Prey. I come back once again for another video from Mr. Nightmare. This being the 3 disturbing deep web horror stories. That's right. We're going the extra mile and looking at some creepy shit from one of the most oddly mysterious and sometimes even terrifying parts of the internet. So, without further ado, let's get it on. Wow, I even scared myself there. 3 disturbing deep web experiences. Let's do it. Number 3. That's a clever way of actually displaying the transitions,
I made the mistake of searching the deep web one time. I saw on Reddit some people were talking about this thing called Tor that allows you to search the deep web, and it was basically a post listing the strangest things people have come across on the deep web. It intrigued me, some of the things people have found.
That creeps even me out. And I'm a werewolf!
Reddit posted a link to a basically hidden wiki with a bunch of useful links to the dark web. I was shocked at how many child pornography links there were. I did my best to steer clear of anything like that. I did come across a link that took me to another page with a bunch of links, called the Black Pages. The page was black with a bunch of red and yellow links. The red pages seemed to be the strangest.
Immediate red flag.
There was one link called Personal Assassin and another called Dead Pets. Reading some of those links, I realized how messed up this whole deep web thing was.
Bloody red flag.
I clicked the yellow link and ended up at yet another page full of links. There, I found something that seemed interesting. It was called the Secret Society chat. I clicked on the link, and it took even longer than all the other pages took to load.
Stop right there. Something like that sounds like one of those kind of things that something like the Klan would put up on the deep web. Just saying. Stay away from that shit.
I'd say I stared at a blank white screen for a good minute before the page finally turned black and a chat box popped up. Next to the chat box was a black video screen. I wish that I had just clicked the back button at that point, but instead I typed "hey" in the chat box. What happened next was weird. Someone wearing a mask sitting in a dark room popped up on the screen. I felt like my heart stopped when I saw my face pop up on the screen as well. The website was using my webcam.
Yeah, I've heard of stories similar to this before.
I covered it with my thumb and tried to close the page, but at this point my taskbar was gone, along with the minimize and exit buttons at the top of the Tor window. I tried hitting Ctrl-Alt-Delete, but it did nothing. And then there was a muffled, distorted voice coming from my speakers. I could only assume it was the guy in the mask speaking. He was masking his voice with some kind of voice changer. I clearly remember, he said,
"I still see you, James."
My heart sank.
Yeah. That's a little disturbing even for me.
Before it finally cut power.
And again, I'm a freaking werewolf.
I should report what happened to the police, but from what I knew, everything was anonymous with Tor, so it didn't even seem worth it. It was obviously just a low-life hacker. I went on with my life after deleting the Tor browser from my computer, but about 2 weeks later, my mom threw a letter in my room. She told me it came in the mail for me. There was no return address on it. I ripped the letter open and unfolded the paper tucked inside. In huge letters that filled the paper were the 3 words, "Don't come back." I felt like I was going to throw up from the sickening feeling it gave me. I crumpled up the paper and threw it away. I didn't call the cops as it seemed pointless, and I didn't tell my mom because it would only cause her to panic. But I have no idea how or why they got my address.
Gee, I wonder why, or how, I mean. Number 2.
My worst experience on Tor was stumbling upon a horrific, sickening page called Human Experiments.
Where
exactly I found it. It was
that's a very inviting name.
Link archive page. The homepage described the content on the site. I was distraught at what I was reading. It said in a red, bloody font, "The experiments conducted for this website are to prove that not all humans are born equal. The people chosen to be experimented on were usually homeless, but also the unfortunate souls that happen to get caught by these
come on.
sick
I eat people sometimes, and even I think that's fucked up.
Reactions to extreme pain and torture, infections and diseases, and even
God.
intolerances to x-rays, pain, and heat. I had seen all those horrific shock videos like 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, so I thought I would be prepared for what I was going to see.
Yeah, glad I'm not seeing that right now.
I made the mistake of clicking on the first link to the experiment photos. I honestly had to retain the urge to puke. I don't want to even give a description of what I saw, but I'll just say, there were innocent victims, people, just like you and I, going through horrible, horrible things that nobody should ever go through.
Like what?
Against my better judgment, I scrolled the entire page, and it only got worse. Pretty soon, a whole section dedicated to infants and toddlers came
What?
up. I had somehow made it to the bottom of the page, and then
What?
a little box popped up on the screen. I didn't know what it was.
I don't
until
even
a line of
eat
text
babies.
popped up. The text said,
They're
"Did you
too
enjoy
cute
the
and
site?"
cuddly even for me.
I realized it was a chat box. I typed, "Who is this?" The stranger promptly replied, evading my question by saying, "What was your favorite part of the site?" I asked the same question again. This time he actually acknowledged my question and told me he was the site owner. I told him that this was sick and inhumane and that I would report the site immediately. That was my biggest mistake, telling him that, because after a short pause, he finally said, I see your name is Michael, and you live in Massachusetts." He was right, but instead of clicking out of that browser right away, I typed in, "No, you're wrong." About 10 seconds later, he typed something that made my heart feel like it shriveled up, and that was my address, my complete, correct home address. His final words were,
yeah, you're
"Have a nice
fucked."
day." I closed the browser and slammed my laptop shut. I called the police first thing before even telling my parents. When the cops got to our house, I explained everything to everyone at once. They wanted to see my computer since I didn't remember the link to the website. Unfortunately, the Tor browser doesn't save your browsing history, so I couldn't even help them in shutting down this website. The cops told us that if what I said was true, that we should find another place to stay as soon as possible. Thankfully, this was around the time that we were looking to move away anyway. I couldn't believe how fast my parents were able to sell the house and find another. I apologized to them every day for a month after this happened. I hated to have to
are a
make them go
lucky
through this
son of a
all.
bitch.
I liked to think the guy in the chat was just bluffing, but I couldn't take the chance. I don't think anybody should ever look into the deep web, as there is no good to come of it.
Well, then again, that's kind of why we're doing this,
There
aren't
used to
we?
be a website on the dark web called the Silk Road. It was an underground illegal
Okay, that
drug
just sounds fucking
marketplace.
weird.
I had heard about it through friends that had used it. Our weed dealer was moving out of state and he was our only connection, so my friends started using this website and claimed that it was legit. The timing couldn't be better to score some pot since my parents were in Atlantic City for the weekend. I downloaded
Yeah,
the Tor
weed
browser
does
and
sound
checked
pretty
it
good,
out.
actually.
The biggest seller on the site was cannabis, of course. I left a comment on one of the newer listings asking for anybody to tell me if the listing was legit. I came back to the site about an hour later
Smart, I
and
guess.
had one new message. It was from a user named Illy B. He saw my comment and offered to sell me an ounce for a really low price, but he only does local. I've done local deals before, and I've never really had a problem with them, so I told him that I was in
My
Washington.
butt.
Turned out he lived only about an hour away from me. I suggested we meet halfway, but shockingly, he said he would just meet me in my hometown.
Yeah, if you're doing deals
I
on
couldn't
sites
turn down
anywhere,
that
make
offer.
sure you're meeting in a public
He said
place
he
where
would be
people
over
can
after
see you
work
and
around
therefore
9
nothing
o'clock.
shady
I
could
told him to
happen.
meet me in the Wendy's parking lot.
That just seems like the
He asked
kind
me
of
a
common
bunch
sense
of
that
weird
tends to
questions
slip
like
some
my
people.
address, who I live with. I definitely didn't want to give my address to a pot dealer, and I lied and told him I lived alone. A little bit later, he texted me telling me he found a much better place to do the deal. It was behind an old closed-down retail store at the edge of town.
Behind an
Sketchiness
old
alarm was
closed
going off,
Are
but
you
I was so
friggin'
desperate to
kidding
get my
me?
grass. I knew exactly where that building was, so I drove over and got there
Kid,
within 5 minutes.
I want pot, and even I
parked the
wouldn't
car
do
behind
that.
The building, but couldn't see anyone else
And
there.
I never even smoked
Then I
weed,
got a text
though
saying
God
he was on
knows
his
I would
way.
want to.
That made no
But
sense.
I can't because
if
it's
he lived
illegal
an
here in
hour away,
Indiana.
how
Thanks
did
a
he know
lot,
where his
Indiana.
place? I sat there for like 20 minutes trying to get another response from him, but he never answered. I decided to just give it up. I had a feeling something sketchy was going on and that I should just leave while I still could. It took me 10
you
minutes
think?
to get back home. My front door was open. I knew I had shut it, so I was worried that my parents had gotten home early. I parked my car in the driveway since my dad didn't take it and went back inside. The light upstairs in my parents' bedroom was on, and I heard some kind of shuffling noise. I shouted Mom and Dad, and the noises stopped. The door to the room slammed shut, and I knew something was wrong. My dad's car wasn't even
yeah,
in
you
sight,
think?
and now he's not answering.
This
It
is
took me
what you
long
get
enough
for
to
being
realize
stupid.
that whoever was in there wasn't either one of my parents. Since I'm a straight-up idiot, I grabbed a carving knife from the kitchen and charged
yeah.
upstairs to my parents'
Just
room.
because you admit that you're
I
stupid, it doesn't
practically
make it
almost
any
broke down the
better,
door after
dude.
slamming it open. I didn't see anyone, but I right away picked up on the fact that my mom's jewelry case was opened. I grabbed the phone in my parents' room and called 911, but something grabbed me from under the bed. I used the knife in my hand to stab their arm, and the man under the bed began to scream in agony. Since it was a corded phone, I couldn't leave the room with it. All I had time to tell the police was that someone broke into my house, and then gave them my address. The man crawled out from under the bed with the knife still in his arm. He didn't even look at me. He just ran straight for the front door into his car. The best I could describe him was that he was a black man with a backwards hat and raggy clothing, and he drove a black Honda Accord.
Oh, man.
Of course, I couldn't tell the police much. I couldn't bring up the website, as it was illegal to use it. All I could do was describe him to the best of my ability. So he's still out there home free. I can only guess he got my address by hacking me somehow.
Yeah, you think? Maybe that's why you shouldn't be on the deep web. Something that unfortunately a lot of people do for whatever reason. Then again, the only thing I have to be thankful for that is that we got this nice little video from Mr. Nightmare. Well, I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword, if you ask me. Well, anyway, that's about all the time we got. If you liked the video, go ahead and comment, like, and or subscribe. And as always, I am the Gargantuan Werewolf, and take care there, loyal prey. Take care.